Well, good morning. It's Tuesday morning, and here we are looking at Revelation 6. Now, I want to take a minute today and talk about some things that are going to come up in the next 18 or 20 chapters of Revelation between now and the end of the book. Over and over, we're going to read about numbers, different numbers, and people like to go crazy with the numerology in Revelation, and they multiply this by this, and then they divide it by some number, and they come out with 1941, and they say, see, 1941, that's when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and so that's clearly when this happened. It ain't that way, folks. That's not how any of this works, to quote an old TV commercial. But the numbers do have significance. When you read the number 3 in Revelation, it can generally be, and I haven't checked this, but I think it's generally a kind of a Trinitarian reference. Father, Son, and Spirit, the 3 in 1. If you see the number 7, it's a number of wholeness and completion. It means everybody is included. Everything is as it should be. Every being and entity is in its right place, and God is with us all. So 7 is a number of perfection, we could say. Which means, of course, that 6 is short of 7. So 6 is a falling short number. So if you see a 6, then it means you're not quite there. And that comes up significantly in the 666 number that we find in Revelation. I once moved to a town and went to the phone company to get my phone number, and they said one of the prefixes that they used in that town was 666, and a woman said, "Oh, Pastor, is that okay?" I said, "It's a number. I don't care." I'm sure there were pastors in town who would never have that number. And somebody called me once and said, "Pastor, you're a pastor and you have a 666 number. That means you're going to hell," and started lecturing me. And I said, "Where did you get that from?" And the woman said, "Well, it's in Revelation." And I said, "What does it actually say in Revelation?" She had no idea. She had no clue. See, you can't just take a number completely out of context and start applying it to your life around you. I have a friend, and we were always looking for 14, because if you look for 14, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Well, if you look for any number, you're going to start seeing it anywhere and everywhere. But okay, enough of that. So you can't take numbers out of context. That's an important point. If you see the number 12, it generally refers to 12 tribes, the 12 apostles. We've already seen 24, which is both of them together. If you see a number like 1,000 or 10,000, that's kind of like all your fingers and all your toes multiplied a bunch of times. It's a huge number, and just means, lots and lots, myriads. We can't number them. There's so many. If you see the number 40 in the Bible, it could mean 40, but it could also just mean a lot. It's like all your fingers and all your toes twice, almost higher than anybody could count. Well, of course they could count higher than that, but they just used 40 to mean a lot of people, a long time. They were there for 40 years, which just means, years and years. We don't know how long. 40 days in the wilderness. It was, again, just a long time. Could have been 40, could have been 38, could have been 47, who knows? But it was a long time. And so when you read these numbers, you have to kind of take them lightly. You know what I mean? Now, what we're going to see starting off here are the 7 seals. And sort of nested inside the last seal, we're going to read about the 7, I think it's the 7 bowls. And then there's 7 something else's later on. Don't take these things linearly, like this is happening, this is Trump, and this is Obama, and this is Biden, and this is, Henry Kissinger, and start reading it all that way, because that's not how you read it. And as we go along, we'll look at how you do read it and what it says to us. So just sort of keep all that in mind as we're going through this book. So chapter 6 says, I watched when the Lamb opened one of the 7 seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures say, Come. And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer. So the white horse comes forth, going to war, conquering. The second seal, a second living creature says, Come, and another horse, and this one's bright red, and it takes peace away from the earth, and people would slay one another. He was given a great sword. Then third seal's opened, and a third creature says, Come, and it's a black horse with a pair of scales in his hand. And what it seems to be a voice says, quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine. So there's that. And then the fourth seal, and the fourth living creature says, Come, and look, a pale horse, and its rider's name was Death, and Hades followed him. And they were given authority over 1/4 of the earth to kill with the sword and with famine and pestilence and by wild beasts. So there's 4 seals, and we see 4 horses. Conquering armies come, first horse. War breaks out, second horse. When war breaks out, everything gets expensive and scarce. So you have famine and stuff that happens. And then the fourth horse is death, and people die from the warfare, they die from the famine, they die from diseases that start to spread around and stuff. And 1/4 of the earth was killed. Now, I believe that if you keep track of all the fractions of the earth in Revelation, you're going to end up with like 12 times as many people die as there are on the earth. Because it's like 1/4 of the earth here and 1/3 of the earth another time and half the earth, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, how many pieces, haven't we killed everybody? But that's, again, that's that kind of speculation that we ought not be doing. So for today, think about those numbers and what you've been taught and what you've assumed about those kinds of numbers, and think about how they might be interpreted differently. And we'll see you tomorrow with more of chapter 6. Have a great day.